a certificate of good conduct, be ready to undergo a medical checkup during and after recruitment, be prepared to undergo rigorous physical training, and be prepared to give voluntary service to the nation in any part of Kenya. Recruitment exercise commences at 800 hours in all recruitment centers. Successful candidates will report for the NYS paramilitary course at the respective NYS college on the dates and time on their calling letters. For further information, visit the NYS website www.nys.go.ke. NYS, huduma kwa taifa.
Good evening and welcome to Sunday Express. We have what has been happening across the country and indeed further afield. This is Sunday Express, and as we do it right here, our conversation today focuses on activism and activism by the youth. You know what has been happening across the country and the demand for social change and political change by the youth. And tonight we talk about social justice, the youth clamor for change and ending inequality, but that pursuit being pursued through faith. We have James Mbogwa, who is an elder at the Grace Table Gathering, and we'll be talking about our conversation in not too long. But first things first, here are tonight's highlights.
Hospitali bado inashirikiana na DCI kuweza kutusaidia kujua ni nani ama ni watu gani waliweza kutekeleza uhalifu huu.
KNH under the microscope. DCI moves in to investigate the mysterious death inside Kenya's biggest referral hospital.
Tarehe 15 mwezi huu itakuwa Super Saturday ambayo viongozi wote tutaelekea kule Addis kushuhudia uchaguzi na ushindi wa kinara wetu ambaye ni Raila Amolo Odinga.
Praying for Raila. Leaders intercede for Kenya's candidate ahead of the continental vote in Addis Ababa. Kenya, I give my best to you. Meet Mbotela Oginga, one of the unsung heroes in the education and protection of deaf children. And diversifying Kenya's dietary value. See why you could soon be consuming the domesticated water buffalo. Well, let's kick off this broadcast with the news that the Kenyatta National Hospital is tonight assuring patients that security has been beefed up following the mysterious death of a patient on Friday. The hospital's acting chief executive officer, Dr. William Singilai, says the matter has been taken up by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. The incident raised serious questions about the general safety of patients at Kenya's biggest referral hospital. Mambo with that report.
Questions abound about how a patient's throat was slit inside Kenya's largest hospital, despite the facility being under a 24-hour CCTV surveillance manned by over 380 security guards and housing a police post within its premises. On February 6, 2025, the lifeless body of Gilbert Kenywa was found in his hospital bed.
Mr. Kenywa was found with his face covered with a blood-stained sheet. Upon the nurse uncovering to check on him, the nurse discovered that this person was motionless with a deep cut on the frontal aspect of his neck.
The hospital says no suspect has been identified so far.
We actually do not have evidence that anybody walked in and committed a crime and committed the said crime. We know for a fact that the patient was murdered in the ward.
According to the hospital's acting CEO, Dr. William Sigilai, security measures have been enhanced in response to the crime.
We have engaged the National Police Service right now to also enhance their presence on the compound, and we are looking long term because this threat is very hard to predict.
This is the second murder in 10 years at the hospital, the first occurring in 2015. Gilbert Kenywa, a trader, was admitted to KNH on December 11, 2024, after being referred from St. Mary's Hospital with a neurological condition that left him paralyzed in all limbs.
His condition was particularly severe, affecting all his limbs, and therefore making movement difficult. He therefore required what we call total nursing care, which includes tube feeding.
The case is now under investigation by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the DCI, as they work to uncover the mystery behind his death. Although the management of the Kenyatta National Hospital has assured the patients and Kenyans at large of enhanced security in the hospital, the murder incident has raised more questions than answers. Mambo reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Quite a sad turn there, and we hope the DCI will get to the bottom of it. And my apologies, I didn't mention that Byron Abuli is a sign language interpreter for tonight's coverage. ODM bigwigs held special prayers for their principal, Raila Odinga, wishing him victory in the forthcoming elections for the chairperson of the Africa Union Commission. Led by ODM chairperson, Governor Gladys Wanga, the leaders expressed confidence that Raila will on Saturday win the elections that will be held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The leaders have at the same time assured their supporters that Raila will not abandon local politics if elected as AUC chairperson.
With only 6 days to the elections of the chairperson of Africa Union Commission set to be held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, ODM leaders joined faithfuls at the New House of Grace Church in Kakamega to pray for their principal Raila Odinga.
Kwa niaba ya wanakakamega wote na viongozi wote ambao wamekuja hapa kwa maombi maalum ya kumwombea kinara wetu Baba Raila Amolo Odinga siku ya Super Saturday. Tarehe 15 mwezi huu itakuwa Super Saturday ambayo viongozi wote tutaelekea kule Addis kushuhudia uchaguzi na ushindi wa kinara wetu ambaye ni Raila Amolo Odinga.
Mungu atuonekanie as a people of this country and as a family of ODM for the struggle that we have had over the years. Because mahali ambayo tumefika, baba amemaliza kazi. Ametembea, amezungumza kila mahali, president amempeleka mahali mengine, amefanya yote. Sahi ndio tunasema be still and know that I am God. Sahi tunasema baba be still.
Wakristo wenzangu, mnajua wiki hii ambayo tunaanza ikifika Jumamosi kule Ethiopia watakuwa napiga kura ya kuchagua chairperson wa African Union Commission. Na mnaona mzee wetu Baba Raila Amolo Odinga ametembea Afrika mzima akiuliza kuungwa mkono. Kwa hivyo sisi tunamuombea kwa sababu tunajua baba ametosha.
The leaders expressing confidence that on Saturday, Raila Odinga will be honored by African presidents by being elected as AUC chairperson.
Na mimi nashukuru sana Apostle Daktari Ken Baraza, vile umeombea kinara wetu, na wiki hii kuanzia siku ya leo hadi siku ya Jumamosi ni wiki ya baba. Viongozi wote tuombee kinara wetu kwa sababu we have always been almost there.
So maombi ambayo tumefanya leo kwa niaba ya party leader wetu baba, ambaye pia amepigania nchi sana kwa miaka mingi, na mimi nashukuru sana washirika kwa sababu tumemwombea pamoja kwamba ikifika Saturday.
The ODM top brass assuring their supporters Raila Odinga will still be present in the local politics even after winning the continental position.
Kini baba kwenda AU haimaanishi ametutoroka. Baba atakuwa AU na pia atakuwa anakuja hapa. Sababu kutoka AU kule Addis kufika Nairobi ni 1:30. Atakuwa anachapa kazi Jumatatu mpaka Friday, ikifika Joni anachukua ndege anakuja hapa. Weekend tuko na yeye hapa Kakamega tunapiga siasa.
Raila faces competition from Djibouti's Mohamed Yusuf and Richard Radiamandrato of Madagascar in the race to succeed Chad's Musa Faki. The winner will require the support of 2/3 of the 55 Africa Union member states, translating to 33 votes. Gishoki Washira, Sunday Express.
Of course, that number is minus about 5 nations, French-speaking nations, that have been suspended from the African Union owing to coup d'etats that have happened in those countries. KBC will be giving you around-the-clock coverage about that election from Thursday this week in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Kenya Kwanza leaders have defended President William Ruto's proclamation to remove the vetting process of identity cards applicants living in northeastern and other border counties. The leaders, including National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and the President's Assistant Farouk Kibet, spoke in Vihiga County and also wished Raila Odinga the best in the elections of the African Union Commission chairmanship next week.
Leaders from the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance on Sunday were on a charm offensive in Vihiga County. The leaders asking the Western Kenya region to rally behind President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 polls.
Nyinyi watu ya Hamisi mnasema tutatembea na Wakenya wengine. Hivyo ndivyo ilivyo.
Hii kiti imeletwa karibu na sisi na iko hapa Sugoi. Kazi yetu sasa ni kuvuta kiti itoke Sugoi ifike hapa Western.
Led by the majority leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, they backed the decision by the president to remove the requirement of vetting the persons living in border counties before they are issued with the national identification cards and passports.
Kwa nini mtoto Msomali pia akienda kupewa kitambulisho aambiwa akuje na wazee 20 wa kijiji yake, akuje na mama yake, baba yake, nyanya yake, babu yake, mashangazi na nani, na ni Mkenya amezaliwa hapa Kenya.
Kenyans who deserve to be respected. Na tunasema wakipatiwa vitambulisho wafuate sheria ile ya Kenya ya kawaida ya kutoa stakabadhi, na chifu anatia sahihi, unapata kitambulisho na kusonga mbele.
It doesn't mean that it affects the stability and the security of this nation when those people are included in moving forward as a country. No one is advocating for any criminal to be served, but we are saying that all part of Kenya deserve to be served well.
Bungoma County Governor Ken Lusaka saying the decision will also benefit his residents who border Uganda, adding that they miss out on government services for lacking identification cards.
Sisi pia kama watu ya Western Kenya, we are going to be beneficiaries of that directive kwa sababu natoka Bungoma, natoka Busia na kule hata upande wa Siaya kuna watu wengi ambao walikuwa waweze kupata vitambulisho. Na unaona hao wamepaniki kwa sababu wanajua Northeastern ikipata vitambulisho, sisi pia Western tupate vitambulisho. I can assure you that Western Kenya tutakuwa namba 1 katika census ile inakuja, and numbers count.
Kupokea kile ambacho Mungu amekusudia.
However, ODM leaders who spoke in a separate event want the vetting policy to be upheld for security reasons. The Kenya Kwanza leaders, however, steered clear of the ruling of the court that Azimio is the majority coalition in the National Assembly. This as ODM interim leader Nyang' Nyong'o said the ruling of the court must be respected.
The court has ruled that Azimio is the majority party. Ama sivyo? Sasa wewe ni nani? You are not the speaker. You are not an MP. And then you are doubting what the court has said.
The sentiment that were also shared by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka.
On Tuesday, mwende mukae mahali ya majority in the National Assembly. Because mahakama imesema hawa jamaa walinyakua, yani wakafanya artificial majority, na wamepatikana kwanza mchana na mahakama.
Give us in mind, Sunday Express.
The fallen legendary broadcaster Leonard Mambo Mbotela will be buried next Saturday at the Langata Cemetery in Nairobi. A series of events will precede his interment, including a funeral service on Friday at the All Saints Cathedral, Nairobi. Meanwhile, did you know that Mambo performed at live bands going by the stage name Ibrahim Juma? Well, the golden voice we all enjoyed on the airwaves was also enjoyed by revelers at the Vibro Club in Nairobi, where he serenaded many a patron. In fact, the proprietor, David Mukaya, who says he has known the legendary broadcaster for a long time, termed Vibro Club as Mambo's second home. Kamcha Menza has more.
Leonard Mambo Mbotela.
While many Kenyans remember Leonard Mambo Mbotela's voice on the broadcast airwaves, few knew his other side. Mambo loved music and singing live on stage. This was his last live performance with the popular Maroon Commandos. This love was cultivated a long time ago and saw Leonard Mambo Mbotela become a regular face at the Vibro Club in Nairobi West, Nairobi County. At one time, it was run by 3 veteran broadcasters who also happened to be Mambo's former colleagues at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, namely Leonard Moshegwa, Tom Kazungu, and the late Victor Odak Omala. From as early as 1997, they would engage Mambo to sing in live bands. In 2009, when ownership changed hands, the new proprietor, David Mukaya, maintained the tradition.
A band would normally sing up to around 11, and they would take a break. A Mambo would take the stage. And they normally would do 1.5 hours.
The renowned broadcaster remained a loyal client, so much so that he had a particular sitting space reserved for him when he visited on Fridays, Saturday and Sunday.
Those who knew about the club, they would always tell us in advance to ensure that Mambo is present. The memories I have, every other Sunday, if he was in town, we would sit in this cube and have fish. We actually used to talk about that. Sometimes I would ask him, things like those, we would joke and things like that.
Because he was not your ordinary patron, his presence pulled crowds. Mukaya says on stage, Mambo was known as Ibrahim Juma.
And I remember when he was stronger, Mambo would not walk from the counter to the stage. He would literally run and take that step, jump onto the stage. Referees knew him by that name. Of course, they knew it was he. They knew it was Mambo. So every time they say Ibrahim Juma on stage, everybody would know it's him.
His charming personality made staff here and clients warm up to him.
Unajua Mambo alikuwa mteja wetu mzuri. Akikuja hapa alikuwa anatuadhidia kidogo, anatupatia mawaidha.
Whenever we heard that he's going to be on stage, it was an attraction of.
Most friends, including myself, will always want to offer him a drink. As we talk, Mambo has left some stock here, some beers.
Mokaya says news of Mambo's demise was a shock to them, and though his life is celebrated at Club Vibro, his presence will forever be missed.
To see if we can invite them to come and show 3-4 bands to come and perform on one day to remember him, and probably to see if we can raise something for our family. Because this was like his second home.
At the entrance, there is a special setup where Mambo's fans can pen their tributes. As candles glow, mourning a cherished and valued musical performer whose baritone voice and imposing presence may never be forgotten. Kamchimenza for Sunday Express.
Such a gem, the Leonard Mambo Mbotela, the personality and life of this gentleman will be buried on Saturday. We continue to mourn with the family, and our condolences go out to his friends and indeed his family. We're taking a short breather. We're coming back with more news. But of course, a reminder, our conversation tonight focuses on social justice, and we'll be talking about the youth clamor for change, but from a faith perspective. And our guest tonight is James Mbugua, who will be talking to us really regarding what can be, or how can you leverage on faith to achieve social justice. Don't go too far.
Inuka na Tomato 2025 ni kujinua full kashamba kajuja mali safi worth 1.7 million Kenyan shillings na kamejiset kwa *570 hash na tushinde.com. Na ukiwahi sahau landlord, unaongezewa 1 million Kenyan shillings ya kujenga kwa shamba yako. Sema kuinuka na bado kuna nini hiyo side nyingine? Hapa ndio mwisho. Weekly ndio yatafaa bado iko na zawadi pia ni za kukuinua. Iko Probox new model moja ya kipekee tayari kukuserve kwa biashara yako ya 2025. Iko Master Demio, ito safi and sleek, ready kukuserve kwa mahitaji yako ya hapa na pale. Cheza mara kadhaa na uweze kujipatia entry tickets kibao na uboost chance yako ya kujishindia kwenye draw zetu. Na kama kawaida tutakubishia mahali popote uliko tukufikishie ushindi wako. Kila kona imejazwa kwa *570 hash option 2, 3 na 4 na tushinde.com, na kwako ni kuinuka na Tomato.
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sunday Express. She dedicated over 2 decades of her life to championing the rights and education of deaf children in Kenya. From a secretary's desk in Nairobi to the forefront of advocacy and institution building, Anne Bore Oginga's journey with the Kenya Society for Deaf Children is a testament to resilience, leadership and unwavering commitment. We caught up with Anne at her home in Ongeng village in Homa Bay County.
Anne Bore Oginga's career began on May 16, 1979, when she joined the Kenya Society for Deaf Children as a secretary. It wasn't long before her dedication earned her a new role, Executive Officer of the Society, a position she held from August 1980 until her voluntary retirement on December 31, 1999.
I got interested in seeing the deaf people, how they communicate. Then I got interested in working for the Kenya Society for Deaf Children.
Even in retirement, her passion for service remained strong, leading to a one-year contract that saw her continue in the same role until December 2000.
I retired because I wanted to work for another organization that covered the whole Africa. But then I lost my dad, and I lost so many things happened to me, so I could not concentrate in doing that job.
During her tenure, Anne played a pivotal role in shaping the future of deaf education in Kenya. Under her leadership, the society expanded its impact. She spearheaded the establishment of 32 deaf institutions across the country, among them Kuja School for the Deaf, Nyangweso, Maseno, Kerugoya, Machakos, Kwale, Litein, and Muranga stand as lasting legacies of Anne's work.
So when the president saw what I have done, he said, Madam Ogenga, I want a similar school in my constituency.
Beyond her administrative role, she has been an integral part of decision-making in deaf education, serving on the board of governors for 16 schools for the deaf.
Parents had many problems in communicating with even their children. Even the schools that were existing, they had no how to handle these children.
While progress has been made, Anne believes that there is still work to be done. She is calling for increased government support, better facilities and policies to ensure that deaf children receive the quality education they deserve. For Sunday Express, I am Edward Kabasa.
Residents of Sori, Karungu, Nyatike sub-county in Migori County have embraced sorghum farming, which has emerged as a resilient alternative, offering hope for food security and sustainable farming. This is after maize became a less reliable crop due to the fluctuating weather patterns.
In the heart of Sori Karungu, Nyatike constituency in Migori County, a quiet agricultural revolution is underway. For years, maize was the main crop, but fluctuating weather patterns have left fields barren, making it difficult for farmers to rely on it. As a result, residents have turned to sorghum farming. Sorghum, unlike maize, thrives in dry conditions and high temperatures, making it an ideal choice for the region.
The reason as to why I find sorghum cultivation more profitable because the input that you put in and the yield. So sorghum is also a very valuable crop, and I believe that the society should not leave back sorghum as a crop.
Tomboya, a lead farmer in the area, highlights the impressive scale of the shift, with 78,000 hectares now dedicated to sorghum cultivation. This marks a significant move towards sustainable agriculture, reflecting the community's resilience in the face of climate change.
Sorghum is a crop that does well in semi-arid places like Karungu. Then our soils are very healthy, and we have black cotton soil in this region. So you find that the rains here are very short, 45 days, and our rains are over. So this soil can be able to retain the water.
While the transition has been faced with challenges, agricultural extension services have played a key role in helping farmers learn how to grow sorghum effectively. Bernard Ogola, an agricultural officer, knows that the availability of these services, coupled with the growing market demand for sorghum, has encouraged farmers to adopt the crop.
The farmers must be empowered through proper training. That is agronomic practices, what we call good agronomic practices, the GAPs. And even the good agricultural practices also. So training is key.
For the farmers of Sori Karungu, the shift of sorghum represents both resilience and opportunity. Despite the challenges posed by climate change, the community is finding innovative solutions to ensure the agricultural future, offering hope for a more sustainable and prosperous tomorrow. Kasichana Masha, Sunday Express.
The Gazette notice by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development declaring the domesticated water buffalo as a food animal in Kenya, could see plates filled with meat of cups of tea with milk from this bovine originating from the Indian subcontinent. It is a step towards resources decoupling, as the new species that joins the other sources of animal food is also known for feed efficiency while producing more in terms of milk and meat. Our reporter Judy Dakolo seeks to explain how this new development in the livestock sector is a silver bullet towards investment and dietary value.
The Gazette notice announcing the inclusion of the domesticated water buffalo as part of animal food in Kenya raised eyebrows and had the antenna up. Many have wondered if the buffaloes in the game reserves and parks are safe. Others questioned Kenya's quest for biodiversity conservation if the buffalo were to be harvested for food. However, worry not. The domestic water buffalo is a native of the Indian subcontinent and a distant relative of the Mbogo in Kenya, yet it is part of the bovine family that the usual cattle also belong to.
Very soon we'll also be introducing a new livestock species, still aligned to our mandate. So we've received inquiries from our farmers.
Through repeated breeding, these animals have been adapted to the natural environment in where they live.
Lately, the impacts of climate change have been manifesting in most ominous ways. When it rains, it comes in storms. When the dry spells set in, they evolve into whole seasons of drought. The net effect of these are the water sources that often dry up while pasture is reduced to spikes and blades in some regions.
It's one that has very excellent feed conversion efficiency. So it's able to convert the little that it's provided, including even the rice straws, to be able to produce milk.
The Kenya Animal Genetic Resources Center is one such institution that has to find solutions. KAGRIC is responsible for producing, preserving, and conserving animal genetic material and now has the onerous task of providing solutions to livestock keeping in the country.
We will bring in live animals and coupled with semen on the side to support the establishment of the herd in the country.
The concept of resource decoupling, reducing the rate of use of primary resources per unit of economic activity, and reducing the environmental impact by increasing the profile of animal food sources. This concept is key, hence the need to have the domesticated water buffalo that is known for feed efficiency.
It's quite a resilient breed, and it's quite adapted in terms of surviving in harsh environments, and it's excellent in terms of feed conversion efficiency.
The domesticated water buffalo feeds on vegetative material, including rice stalks, and is able to efficiently digest, producing milk, meat, and its hide is of high value, while its dung is high in organic content, hence can be used as manure. Experts indicate that butterfat from the domesticated water buffalo is of high value at 8%, with low cholesterol against that from cattle, which is about 3%, hence answering to dietary needs of some of the population.
That the buffalo can even eat the rice straws and with a very low nutritive value and still produce quite a lot of milk, and it's low in cholesterol.
It is always good to look at suitable alternatives as a source of butterfat. The cheese that we use on pizza most of it is imported, and the cheese used to prepare pizza, part of the buffalo butterfat, is extremely useful.
Its introduction into the Kenyan market would revolutionize the livestock sector as we know it, providing investment opportunities in the livestock value chain.
Mine is to encourage the Kenyan investors in the livestock sector. The gazettement opens an avenue of opportunities for you so that you're able to see one more revenue stream coming up.
Research and development is the way to go for countries hit by global warming that has seen productivity in traditional species drop. Judith Akolo, KBC, Channel 1.
President William Ruto is among world leaders who have mourned Namibia's founding president Sam Nujoma, who died on Saturday at the age of 95. His death was announced by President Nangolo Mbumba. Nujoma was president since independence in 1990 until he stepped down in 2005. He is survived by his wife, Kuvambo Nujoma, and 2 sons.
Through his X account, President William Ruto stood in solidarity with the people of Namibia following the demise of their founding president Sam Nujoma. President Ruto mourning the leader he called an African hero, selfless, courageous and visionary who dedicated his life to the liberation and development of his country. His sentiments echoed by his Tanzanian counterpart Samia Suluhu Hassan, who called the former head of state a freedom fighter, a Pan-Africanist and a dear friend of Tanzania, where he once lived during the struggle for Namibia's independence. Born on the 12th of May 1929, Nujoma was revered in his homeland as a charismatic father figure who steered his country to democracy and stability after a long colonial rule by Germany and a bitter war of independence from South Africa. He spent nearly 30 years in exile as the leader of its independence movement, Wambaland People's Organization, and the forerunner of the Southwest People's Organization, which later founded before returning to be elected the country's first democratic leader in 1990. Many Namibians credited Nujoma's leadership for initiating national healing and reconciliation after the deep divisions caused by the independence war and South Africa's policies of dividing the country into ethnically based regional governments with separate education and healthcare for each race. His death was announced Sunday by current Namibian President Nangolo Mbumba. Mbumba said Nujoma died on Saturday night after being hospitalized in the capital, Windhoek.
The Ministry of Health has intensified the crackdown on illegal aesthetic clinics and beauty spas conducting dangerous invasive surgeries. Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni says the crackdown aims to ensure the safety of clients and protection from potentially harmful procedures conducted by unqualified personnel. These and more stories in our county news wrap.
Speaking at ACK Gituto Church in Gishugu constituency, Kirinyaga County, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni revealed that in a crackdown conducted in Nairobi, Mombasa and Eldoret cities, several clinics and spas were found to be non-compliant and conducting unsafe procedures.
And we shall continue inspecting so that we also do not continue losing people in the name of beauty. If you have opened a massage parlor, please ensure that it is doing that work. Massage only.
Elsewhere, ahead of the International Day marked on the second Monday of February annually, Advocates of Epilepsy Management has called on the government to improve access to medication at the grassroots level, calling for an integrated approach to managing the condition, involving both medical treatment and societal support.
We want to advocate and talk about accessibility and, affordability of medication. So in terms of accessibility, we want also to encourage the county to really support the primary facilities to have this medication that helps in management of epilepsy.
And Mandera County Governor Mohamed Adan Khalif has dismissed claims by his Trans Nzoia counterpart George Natembeya on the issuance of national ID cards in Northeastern region as misleading, saying the process followed the legal procedures and is conducted with full compliance to national regulations.
We were not saying the ID cards being issued to foreigners. We will not even accept that. We are against it. But the process of acquiring this vital document must be simplified just like the other Kenyans. And Northeastern is not the lesser citizen.
Meanwhile, in Mombasa County, Changamwe Member of Parliament Omar Mwinyi has urged head teachers to improve their students' discipline, ensure their academic excellence and cooperate with leaders to augment parents' efforts in educating their children.
Tunajua kuna ukosefu wa nidhamu, lakini haya yote tutaweza kurekebisha ikiwa tutashikana kwa pamoja. Sote lengo letu liwe ni moja. Hatutaki kuonyesha kidole cha lawama kwa mtu yoyote. Tunataka kila mmoja ajue tukishikana kwa pamoja tutaweza kutoa matunda mazuri.
And over 250 students in Njiru, Nairobi County have benefited from a 10.7 million shillings bursary disbursement courtesy of the Captain Ronald Karauri Foundation.
Promise yangu ni education Kasarani tutabadilisha. Ujenzi wa mashule na watoto wetu kwenda shuleni tutabadilisha kabisa kabisa.
Still in Nairobi County, Royal Priest College of Divinity and Humanity has awarded over 30 individuals who have made an exemplary contribution to the community in different fields across the 47 counties.
I know I deserve this because I've touched life before in a society. I've worked with so many organizations and I've extended humanitarian work to up to ground level.
Martine Maslin for Sunday Express.
Inuka na Moto 2025 ni kuchinua full kashamba kajuja mali safi wa 1.7 million Kenyan shillings na kamejiset kwa *570 hash na tushinde.com. Na ukiwahi sahau landlord, unaongezewa 1 million Kenyan shillings ya kujenga kwa shamba yako. Sema kuinuka na bado kuna nini hiyo side nyingine? Hapa ndio mwisho. Weekly draw ya chapa bado iko na zawadi pia ni za kuinua. Iko Probox new model moja ya kipekee tayari kukuserve kwa biashara yako ya 2025. Iko Master Demio, kitu safi and sleek, ready kukuserve kwa machaji yako ya hapa na pale. Cheza mara kadhaa na uweze kujipatia entry tickets kibao na uboost chance yako ya kujishindia kwenye draw zetu. Na kama kawaida tutakubishia mahali popote uliko tukufikishie ushindi wako. Kila kona imejazwa kwa *570 hash option 2, 3 na 4 na tushinde.com na kwako ni kuinuka na Moto.
Welcome back. Our conversation tonight is on social justice, the youth clamor for change and ending inequality through faith. James Mbogwa, who is an elder at the Grace Table Gathering and also at the Fountain Gate Church, joins us tonight to have that conversation. Thank you very much, James. Na karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you very much.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
To kick us off in this conversation, when it comes to issues of social justice, the place of faith and spirituality, how does it work?
Thank you very much. I think we begin by defining social justice.
Yes.
What do we mean by that? Mm-hmm. It is the understanding that everyone requires or everyone needs equal opportunities. Everyone needs to be listened to be heard, and everyone needs to have an access to means of livelihood that is duly theirs. That being the case then, I believe it is the foundation of every faith. I come from the Christian faith.
Yes.
But I believe every faith preaches or teaches or encourages their people towards a decent lifestyle that respects the rights of others, but also that encourages people to live to the best that is available and possible for them, because that is the will and plan of God, that we should enjoy our life here on the earth. And hence, what is believed, that I believe also therefore informs what is practiced, is very, very key. If we have wrong belief, we have wrong practice. If we have the right belief, then we have the right practice. And I believe that faith is key in terms of dealing with this matter that is now here with us about social justice, which should not be in a vacuum. It should be based on something. And I believe that is our belief systems. And that calls on all of us, therefore, to go back to to our faith and to a proper relationship with the deity that we honor in our lives.
I want us to talk about the church and the community that is the church. In terms of supporting the youth's call for social justice, how does the church navigate this? For two reasons. Number one, that these youth are part of the church, but secondly also, so that it doesn't turn out to look like incitement.
Well, it's a very tricky issue, because if you say something, it might be understood to mean that you're encouraging. But on the other hand, as I have just said, social justice is the foundation of every faith. Because why do we believe and pray and preach and teach what we do? It's because we are hoping for a better life. Every faith has to do with the emancipation of their people and the delivery of services to their people and upgrading and updating the lives of their people. So I believe that the understanding that the purpose for faith is to make life better, then it justifies any word or any message or practice that is encouraging social justice. We are not out of order. For example, a pastor like myself stand up and tell our young people tell them, for example, young people, this clamor for social justice is a good thing, but then it needs to have the following balances. Right in order, it is a biblical principle, and no one should castigate me for that. But then, as you said, I should not do so sounding like I'm partisan and that I am inciting the young people, because faith brings boundaries within which we should live life. No extremism, because anytime any faith is stretched to the very edge, then it becomes dangerous, and sometimes we begin to discourage people from that pursuit. So I believe coming back to the script and playing according to the script, what is provided for in God's word, what is provided for in what we believe. For example, do we believe we should hurt other people? I don't think there is any faith that encourages that. Do we believe in destroying or stealing other people's properties? I don't think there's any faith that encourages that. So working within what we believe and allowing the rule, the principle of righteousness to govern what is done, I believe that's the way to go.
Tell me something, because this conversation, of course, emanates from what has been happening since July last year up until now. And at some moment around August, it appeared like the church had been left behind by the very youth. My question is, was the church playing catch-up, or they were caught flat-footed?
That's a good question. Let me tell you, Mr. Kioria, for people like myself, for the last 25 years, since we planted our church, we've been preaching and talking about the need for reformation within the church, which is the salt and light of the society, so that the church can be the corporate company that would bring the transformation we need to see in the nation. So there has therefore been that clamor within church circles that we need to upgrade and update our systems, our message, our practices. And only those that have been out of touch with reality, I would say, were caught flat-footed. But many of us have been awake to the fact that things have changed and things need to change. And therefore, I believe that the young people are echoing that something that has already been in the formation. Maybe the methods, maybe the approach may have needed to be a little adjusted. But for the longest time, when Jesus came, his mission was, within the mission statement that Jesus read in Luke chapter 4, and he was quoting from the book of Isaiah. You can see that he came to emancipate a people that were oppressed politically, they were oppressed religiously. Even the traditions of the day, the Pharisees would load some burden on your shoulder, can't even help you to carry that weight. So in a sense, Jesus came to set the captives free. So liberation is a core factor and pillar in Christian theology. But how that is done should be done within the confines of God's kingdom, which is righteousness. You can do something which is good the wrong way. Righteousness, peace. You can do something good, but instead of causing relationships to be strengthened, you weaken. And should be done also within the confines of joy. Is this that we are doing, bringing joy and making life better, improving life? So in a sense, therefore, The church that was asleep, for them that was a wake-up call. But for those that have been up to date with what is God's agenda, then it was an answer to prayer.
It was an answered prayer.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about the preparation, and I'm happy to hear at least for you, you were not caught flat-footed. But this famous saying, the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. But clearly, the leadership of the youth has kicked in. So the question is, how is the church preparing the youth to deal with not just the problems afflicting the country, but even the problems afflicting society, to deal with them head on? And I'm talking about preparing them for leadership, to confront these issues through social justice.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that the youth are not the leaders of tomorrow. Everyone born into this world, under the broad mandate of Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, let's make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Dominion is for every human being, every living being, every man, every woman.
Yes.
Even that little baby in the creche that is crying in the mother's room has some leadership responsibility. Only that maybe they have not matured to it. So that being the case, then, in our theology and in what we preach and in what we teach, we must see the youth as part of the solution, not part of the problem. And they have a role to play.
Yes.
Remember that even those of us who are a bit older today, we were once young in our day. And even at that time, we needed to be factored in everything that is being done or said or decided. We also needed to be listened to. With our little wisdom, we would still speak or say something that, with some guidance, it would make sense. If you read the Bible, you discover that many of the greatest leaders started out with God when they were young. Joseph, son of Jacob, was 17. David, son of Jesse, son to Jesse and had 7 brothers, he was 17. Moses started out, when he was very young. Daniel and others. What about Samuel? God started to talk to a little boy, 3 years. By the time he was 12 years, he was ready to take over the ministry of an older man. Because leadership is not about age. Age comes in when we're talking about experience and the lessons that life can bring to us. But leadership is not about age, because when God appoints and calls and anoints someone, it's not about how old or how young he was. In 1 Chronicles chapter 34, we have a king, Josiah by name. He became king at the age of 8. Could not even sit on the throne. But God had appointed him and he was king. And therefore, I believe that it's good to listen to our young people. Young people tend to be a bit radical, sometimes not very logical. They have nothing much to lose anyway. And I believe that therefore listening to them and giving them chance and space. I have been preaching to the youth in our church, and I keep telling them, most of us, including me, started out in our journey of leadership and ministry when we were young. I got born again at the age of 14, and I became a Christian Union leader that tender age. And throughout my school life, young man I was always a leader. And within that, my space, and especially within my generation, I became an influencer within my generation. And as I grew and matured, leadership has been a core, role in whatever I do. But it started out when I was young. Now, if we scourge the young people and tell them you should speak now, you are here to be seen, not heard, then we are not allowing them to get ready for the life that is coming hereafter. I think the best thing would be to guide them.
Guiding them.
Guide them, mentor them. And if they have some extremist tendencies, then we bring them back to the lane.
But there's the aspect of pushback. And that is one of the challenges, of course, when you're advancing social justice. How do they handle the pushback?
I think the pushback comes because, first of all, unless, and this is what the Bible says, two cannot walk together unless they agree.
Yes.
Now, if you and I cannot sit down and discuss a matter, but on the contrary, each of us take up whether weapons or whatever to address the same matter, and we are not in agreement, we will be found conflicting or contending, pulling in different directions. And like in this case, what we had from last year, the clamor by the youth.
Yes.
I think they had wanted to have some dialogue. Whether that was expressed clearly or not, but I think dialogue should have come in first. So going to the streets, I think, was their way of now speaking. But you know, that's now energy. That is now force, and it can be destructive. We, you know, in this our nation, Kenya, Mr. Kioria, we still need to have a national discussion. We need to come to this table. The very old, the not very old, the young, on the same table, and everyone is listened to. And everyone's point is factored in the construct of what will guide and govern our nation forward. And the young people need to be listened to. You know, when I was young, I'm not too old, but when I was young, I was as radical. I was mean, I was at the University of Nairobi here not long ago, and you know, the clamor for multipartyism and all of that happened when we were in college. And the politicians came in. I remember one day we couldn't have a CU meeting at the Fungamano House because the politicians came in, were trying to recruit us. That's the time when the main campus, Christian Union, moved from Fungamano House to Taifa Hall so that there could be better surveillance and monitoring of what is going on. I remember that Kabado was, you know, part of that mix. And I think we were saying something. Now, Kabado and others are not young men today. Perhaps they are the fathers of those on the streets. What would the advice would be the advice of the older ones now to those young ones? We will tell them, yes, you have a cause, a worthy cause, but then don't be too radical about it. Let us be reasonable.
All right.
Now the fathers are telling their, you know, their sons, you know, advising them in doing what we did in our time. And that time there were older men who are also telling us, please don't go beyond this, but we were not listening. But here we are, and you know, time and life has a way of, you know, sobering all of us. And I think we need to have a sober, you know, well-informed discussion, national discussion. We need to do this before 2027. We need to have this happening like yesterday, so that we can have peace in our nation.
I want you to look at that camera and have your last word, because we need to wind up. In a minute, have your last word on that camera.
Well, to the body of Christ in the nation of Kenya, I would like to say that we need to remain relevant. We need to continue being transformed and changed, and we need constant engagement on a leadership level, in the church level. Time has come for the church to move from the pulpit to the marketplace. We have to have interactions. What is proclaimed, like today on Sunday in the church, must be seen as part of the practice in our offices, in our places of work. Every strata of the society need an infiltration of what we believe and we preach. And we are so glad and delighted that we could spend some time together here this evening. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, James Mbugwe, for joining us tonight. And of course, the conversation is around social justice, the clamor by the youth for change and ending inequality, but through the prism of faith. This is where we put a cap on the interview. Daniel Wahome is up next with sports.
Favorite team and win big on MeChezobet.com. Casino, Aviator, and other crash games also available at MeChezobet. Sign up today. This message has been approved by BCLB license number 664. Gambling can be addictive. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply.
Katakata hizo vitunguu nyanya moja mbili tatu, alafu then leta majimaji unaongeza hivyo makuli inaanza kuwa rahisi. Acha buda komando.
Hata amekuandikia ka message hapa inasema dia ole matope.
Hiyo ndia naitangwa na watu wa simu peke yake. Nimepata na yeye watoto. Alafu akaolewa na serikali.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sunday Express Sport. Now, Vincent Odabu scored twice in the second half to hand KCB 3 crucial points, took them close to the FKF Premier League top 2. KCB defeated Murang'a Seal by 2-0 to move them to 32 points, 6 points behind leaders Kenya Police and Tusker FC, who sit first and second on 38 points each. Mara Sugar came from a goal down to thrash Talanta FC by 4-1 in the second match played today. Despite leading by a goal to nil at halftime, Talanta could not keep up with the waves of attacks from Mara Sugar in the second half as they conceded 4 times to miss out on a 5th win of the season. It was the 7th win for Mara Sugar, who now have 25 points, having played 20 matches. No goals were witnessed in the matches between Kakamega Homeboys against Ulinzi Stars and AFC Leopards against Kariobangi Sharks. Posta Rangers, meanwhile, defeated Shabana by 2-1.
DO20 kinanaimaliza tena Vincent Onjabu.
Now, Breban Swimming Club and Seahorses Aquatic Center were the overall winners of the Nairobi County Swimming Association Level 2 Swimming Championships that concluded today at the Kioria School in Nairobi. The 3-day championship attracted more than 300 swimmers drawn from 20 schools across the Nairobi region.
Breban Swimming Club dominated the men's category with 48 medals, 21 gold, 17 silver and 10 bronze medals, while Seahorses Aquatic finished second with 31 medals as Pro Swim Academy finished third. In the women's category, Seahorses emerged victorious with 35 points, 14 gold, 10 silver and 11 bronze medals. Kianda Swim finished second with a total of 22 medals, while Breban finished third after winning 9 gold, 8 silver and 10 bronze medals.
I've taken part in the 200 backstroke, in which I placed second. 50 freestyle, I placed third. 50 back, I placed second, and 100 back, I placed second.
The sport is nice and I like, and just feeling the water makes me feel happy.
Lee Mwangaza and Kida Waingwa were the only swimmers who set new records in different categories.
I've cut times compared to my previous events. I've cut times in certain, but others I have added time, but it's normal. So, but I can say I've improved.
Mwangaza set a record of 32.87 seconds in the boys 14 to 15 years 50 meters backstroke, while Waingwa recorded a time of 30.38 seconds in the boys 12 to 13 years 50 meters fly. For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Now moving on is that Tanzania's Musa Abel is the overall winner of the first quarter casino draft tournament that was held today at the Jacaranda Grounds in Nairobi. The tournament was held to help select a strong Kenyan team that will take part in the forthcoming international assignments.
According to the Kenya Droughts Casino chairperson Bernard Owino, Kenya aims to participate in several international tournaments this year after playing in the German Open tournament last year.
For the first 3 rounds, actually we are playing what is called Swiss system. So the system, the players are picked by the computer based on the results of the first round. The first 2 rounds, upsets. Yeah, people are expected to win, have lost.
Owino also mentioned that the game has been promoted especially in the grassroots, calling on the Ministry of Sports to help organize many competitions this year in the local areas to identify, promote and nurture talents across the country.
Draft is one of the indoor sports which has been neglected. We really want their support, mostly helping us to sponsor our players when they go abroad. Like last year, our number one, Mr. Goj, met the Pope. Yeah? Not very many Kenyans have met the Pope, courtesy of drafts.
Kenya intends to take part in the Uganda Open set for April before taking part in the Zambian Open competition in May, the Russian Checkers Casino competition in July and the South African Open in September.
Nafikiri kwa sababu hata wenyewe walikuja wakashiriki tournament, ilikuwa ya mbunge, walishiriki. Kwa mimi nimeona nije kusherehekea happy birthday ya Dan.
In today's event, more than 20 players took part, with the winners walking away with 25,000 Kenya shillings.
Ile kitu muhimu ningeomba sana, tumekuwa chini kwa ajili ya kukosa sponsors. Hiyo ndio kitu ambayo imekuwa inatusumbua sana. Lakini tukipata masponsor, tournament ziwe zinaandaliwa namna hii, inaweza kuwa ni mzuri na pia tunaweza tia bidii.
For this tournament we are expecting to get good players that should we get any international event, so we shall know how to choose the players to represent Kenya.
For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
And that's the sport for tonight. Just an update with the FA Cup. The match is being played in England. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0 winners over Blackburn Rovers. Plymouth Argyle pulling off what they call a cliche, the magic of the FA Cup 1-0 winners over Liverpool, and meanwhile Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur playing. More details tomorrow. My name is Daniel Wahome. Have a good evening. You'll be joining Karen Kibet all week tomorrow, but tomorrow morning, basketball and table tennis on Sports Check. Back to you, John Jacob Kioria.
Thank you very much, Daniel Wahome, for the sports, and that just puts a cap on Sunday Express. Thank you very much for joining us. This coming week is eventful as we monitor events from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The election of the next African Union Commission chairperson. The election is on Saturday. We'll be giving you around-the-clock coverage from Thursday, moving all the way up until Sunday. Thank you very much for joining us. Have yourself a fantastic night and a good week ahead. God bless you.
Inuka na Moto 2025 ni kujinua full kashamba kajuja mali safi wa 1.7 million Kenyan shillings na kamejiset kwa *570 hash na tushinde.com. Na ukiwahi sahau landlord, unaongezewa 1 million Kenyan shillings ya kujenga kwa shamba yako. Sema kuinuka na bado kuna nini hiyo side nyingine? Hapa ndio mwisho. Wiki ndio ya chapa bado iko na zawadi pia ni za